Coming up on Point of View, Mary Hours has been breaking down your weather on KDKA since 2019. And after celebrating 5 years at the station, she has a lot more to do in the Berg. This is POV. Thanks for streaming with us. I'm Robert Fornataro. Mary Hours graduated here at Point Park in 2012 with a bachelor's degree in broadcast reporting, then continued her studies in meteorology at Mississippi State. She is a certified drone pilot and can beat your mom in a national anthem singing contest. Mary, thank you so much for joining us today.
I love that. That's so great. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm very happy that you're here. So, do you just wanna get started? Just get into it?
Let's do it.
All right. So, first, how did you know that you wanted to be in front of the camera on TV?
Oh, I feel like ever since I was a little girl, singing, dancing, just anything in that sort was kind of what I wanted to do. And then I tried to come here for musical theater, didn't get accepted into the program. And they were like, go for a second try. And I'm like, no, let's just try something else. I saw broadcasting. I'm like, oh, you know what? Let's try that. And then got into all the law and ethics classes. And I'm like, oh no, I don't really like this. But then eventually, another meteorologist, Scott Harbaugh from PXI, came to one of our classes, and I just kind of fell in love with the idea of ad-libbing weather and got comfortable in front of the camera, and it just kind of all fell into place.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So so you said musical theater. Is that what originally drew you to Point Park?
Yes,
Yeah?
it was. So I actually, I'm from Beaver Falls, went there for 3 years, and then my senior year in high school, I didn't need very many courses to graduate, but Lincoln Park Performing Arts Charter School, they were trying to get me to go there my junior year. And I was like, no, because I want to be with my friends. I still want to cheer and all of that. So then eventually I made the decision, like probably a couple weeks before school started my senior year, and I was like, wait, I kind of do want to go to Lincoln Park. Maybe I'm just going to do it. So they got me in to do an audition. I auditioned, and I got in. And if I didn't go to Lincoln Park, I don't know if I'd come to Point Park. So my best friend's mom, she went here, and it was just kind of like musical theater. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go for musical theater, and this was the only college I applied for.
Really?
Yeah, and as soon as I got in, I was like, well, that's it. That's it.
It was like perfect, meant
It was
to
just
be.
like, I'm just going to do it. And it just all fell into place.
Now, through your time here at Point Park, you were able to work for KDKA as an intern there.
Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit about your internship and your experience there?
It was awesome. So, back then, I worked, I bartended in Oakland, so I would take the bus. It was Tuesday, Thursdays at KDKA, and it was from 2:30 till about 10:30 at night. They didn't want to take the bus like too late at night, but I was going back and forth from Oakland to KDKA, and I remember, I would get in and I would just start looking at the weather. I would read all the weather books that I could, and at first, I wanted to intern at KDKA for reporting, but then I did sign up for weather. And I remember asking, I'm like, why did you pick me for weather? And they're like, well, because we saw potential in you. And I was like, oh, okay, but I don't really like math or science. And I was like, well, I'm eventually going to go back and do it. But now, now I love it. And you just don't really know what's out there until it's kind of just like put in front of you.
Yeah.
So I was like, how do I go to school for meteorology? What do I do? They're like, oh, you have to take your math and all of that. And I did my pre-calc and calc here to get into Mississippi State University. And
in your final year, like your final semester too, which is crazy.
Thankfully, the dean let me. I wrote a letter, please, 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 please let me in to do these classes. I did get an A and a B, but like I was in the class with all of these engineers and they're like, what are you doing in here? And I'm like, I'm going to be a meteorologist. And they were like, what? No one else wants to do that. And I was like, well, I'm going to, and we're going to pass these classes. It was a hard senior year, but it was totally worth it. But yeah, internship at KDK was spectacular. I remember when I left, I cried because I wanted to go back so bad. I remember calling my mom, I don't want to leave. And she was like, well, maybe one day you'll go back, and boom.
And here you are now.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to any students who want to follow in your footsteps and pursue a career in journalism or meteorology?
I would say just don't give up. If you fail a class, it's fine. Go back and do it again. If someone tells you no, you just tell them yes. And like, I can do it. You can do everything that you can be a mom, you can be, you can have a husband, you can have a family, you can sing still, you can dance, and then you can still have a career and still be able to have, those outside hobbies that you want to do. So I say, make sure you keep a lot of your options open. and like what you end up doing, it's going to eventually click. And then you're not going to want to give up on that no matter what. And you're just going to keep doing whatever it takes to get there. No matter if the pay is terrible, you're just like, okay, this will pass. Just keep working hard. It will pay off, because it does eventually pay off. And, I just never give up, I would say. Yeah.
So what would you say your favorite part about like forecasting the weather is in Pittsburgh?
I think I love all 4 seasons.
Really?
We get all 4 seasons. That's kind of what's really cool about it. I just love Pittsburgh in general. But also, like, we get snow, which is exciting for kids. I think the biggest reason why I ended up going into meteorology too is because I like to help people. And, there's a certain type of, like, when you get your first snow, you get that feeling like it's Christmas morning, like you're ready for it to come. But even with knowing that someone's watching me and I'm going to tell them, where storms are going to hit, I can protect them, I can keep them safe, I can keep kids safe, just all of that. It sounds like it may be a lot of weight on your shoulders, but when you go to school and you study and you have all the models and you put everything together, it's nice that you're able to help somebody in that way, and then they rely on you and trust you, and it's a really good feeling to have. So like helping people is my big thing, and being able to inspire other kids to do this too. It's like, yeah, it might sound scary being in front of the camera, but you just have to be you. You just have to be you no matter what, and just stay true to yourself.
You're the best part, like always. So do you have any stories? We were talking about Pittsburgh. You love forecasting here, and Pittsburgh can have some crazy weather. We all know that. Do you have any stories where like the weather forecast like went unpredictable, or was like you couldn't predict?
Not really. If we don't get a snowstorm right, we'll call ourselves out. We're like, dry air came into play and we didn't get those 6 to 7 inches. But whenever we forecast snow, I'd say that's the hardest thing. Or isolated thunderstorms in the summer. It's like, I tell people, when you get an isolated storm, it's basically pop a water balloon over your head and that's who's getting the raindrops. Like, it's kind of unpredicted in that sense because you have all that warm and unstable air. But with snow, when we give a range, it's like 2 to 4 inches. And everyone's always like, but we only got 2 inches. Like, you said 4, and I'm like, no, I said 2 to 4.
2 to 4.
2 to 4 inches. Or like 4 to 6. Well, we only got like 3.95. Well, I mean, 4. I said 4. That's basically 4. They're like, well, we thought we were going to get 6. It's like, no, you have to do the range because you have to think about snow ratios, all of that. But, if there wasn't anything really big, crazy that we've like kind of busted a forecast. But if we do call ourselves out for it. But yeah, sometimes it's unpredictable.
Yeah.
But we try to do it the best that we can.
Now, since it's so unpredictable, how are you able to balance this and balance these updates that you're trying to give like real time?
Whenever you do, it's kind of like riding a bike.
Really?
When you forecast every single day, you look at the big picture of, say a big storm's coming in, and you're like, okay, let's look at the history of past storms and the way they've come in. And you can use that as a gauge. You have all your weather models, obviously, that help. But for instance, when we were talking about we hit 80 degrees on Halloween, and we saw that kind of like a week ago, but then there were some models saying it was going to be 72, 76, and like 82. And for some reason, I was like, I'm going with the gut. It's going to be 80 degrees. It is going to be 80 degrees because you just kind of gauge which models get it right, which models kind of get it wrong. You take the average of those, and then you just have to like go with it and stick with it. You have to be so confident and so certain. But even if we got to 79, it still felt like 80. But it was like, do we tie or do we break the record? What is it going to be? So that was a day I got pretty lucky. I'm like, it's going to be 80, and I knew it, and boom, we made it to 80.
Yes.
But there's little things like that, and you just get used to it. You kind of know the topography. You know how snow is going to come in. You know that the ridges and the lowers are going to get the most. So yeah, you just kind of get used to it and every day.
Now, I know outside of weather, you like to do a lot. You like to sing, and you're also, I believe, the first female FAA drone pilot.
Yes.
So what was the most challenging part about the program and becoming that?
I think it was more so just finding time to study and do the videos. And we actually just got another girl on our team too.
Oh my
She's
gosh.
a producer. I'm like, yes, go girls.
Yes, that's
yeah,
awesome.
I know. I'm so excited. And I think it was just like trying to find the time to work, study, be a mom. It can take someone maybe just a month to do it. It took me about 3 to 4 months, but just studying and just kind of taking a different view on meteorology from like a pilot's
Yes.
perspective. But some of the things were easy, but it was just like doing the sectional charts and all of that. So that was the most challenging. And I'm still, I would say, so my husband, he's not a drone pilot, but because he's so good at video games, when he
it's
does
like
the
natural,
drone, he's so good at it. And I'm like, okay, check this, okay, like I'm so
Yeah, and
cautious.
he's just like-
and he's like, and I'm like, okay, simmer down. But that's the most challenging part, I think, is just kind of like getting all the things, actually flying it and making sure everything is perfect, the lighting is good. You got your 5 to 10 second shots to make everything like really capture the sky above. So that's, that's about it for the challenging part.
Now, besides the FAA drone playing, you've also sung at the national. You sung the national anthem. I know you did the Steelers not too long ago, very recently. How do these personal interests like intersect with like your job and like your professional life?
Well, with the Steelers, it was actually really crazy because I've sang at the Pirates. I've done, Riverhounds games. I've done, racetracks, just all kinds of different things. So I was on Pittsburgh Today Live with Heather one morning, and I cannot even remember what we were talking about, but it was like a bucket list thing. And she's like, what's like a career top of your bucket list? And I was like, I want to sing the national anthem for the Steelers game. Not even 5 minutes later, I get an email. Oh, do you have something to send? And I was like, well, yeah, I have my Pirates one. So I sent it, and they were like, oh, this is wonderful. You're great. Are you available August 17th to sing at the preseason game? And I was like, let me check my schedule. And I was like, oh, of course, yes. And I was like, what? This is so surreal.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it just I put it out in the atmosphere. I manifested it, and it happened. So that's how it happens, and it's fun. It's cool because I do the weathers for the Steelers big screen during the second quarter, so that's also fun. So we're a Steelers station, which was really cool for me to be able to go on the field and actually sing and do what else I love.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, besides just your hobbies, you're also a parent, which
Yeah.
is a very big job. How do you juggle family life in the demands of broadcast journalism since it's very demanding?
I don't know. You just do it. It's like a moving train you can't jump off. What was really cool whenever COVID happened was I got to work from home. And I was pregnant with my son at the time. So I feel like a lot of people didn't even realize I was pregnant just because I was sitting at home and I was using my phone to go live. But my daughter,
I didn't know that.
yes, getting all the lighting, all of that, connecting, and yeah, it was crazy. But then, I really got into social media then too, because we needed to find a way to connect with everyone. And it was like, we couldn't leave the house. So I was like, okay, bringing my daughter into it, teaching her about rainbows, teaching her about all these little things. So I did little segments with her. I was reading books to kids, and it was just kind of like, as a mom, once you become a mom, I think you just become more confident in things. You care less about what people think, because that's your sole focus are your babies. And just being able, she is so much like me with dancing and singing. She loves that. She always says she wants to be a meteorologist. And I'm like, well, I know you see it now, but go explore other things first, and then we can come back to that. There's so many other things you can do, but that would be awesome, of course. But I think it's just kind of making sure that you prioritize, it's family first because it's just a job, but you can still be you. I can still be a meteorologist at home. I can still be a mom at work. You can still be all of those things at the same time.
It's balance.
It's balance. So you have to find that. And it's hard. You eventually find it. But my kids are 6 and 3, so.
Aww.
Now I think I found it. For now.
Now it's time for our Get to the Point speed round. Are you ready, Mary?
No.
So I'm just going to ask you some quick questions. First thing that all right.
Okay.
So favorite class or professor at Point Park?
My broadcasting class, I would say teacher Helen Fallon.
All right. Lake effect snow, love it or hate it?
Hate it.
Hate it? Okay. Best Pittsburgh food, permane sandwiches or pierogies?
P-bros, that's what I call it.
Really? Okay. Early mornings or late nights?
Early mornings.
Favorite weather-related movie?
Twisters now with Glenn Powell.
The new one?
Oh, yes. Already started.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee. Oh.
Me too.
Yeah.
Your favorite go to the Pittsburgh weekend activity?
Oh, man. Probably any fall festival. I don't know. Steelers games are fun, too. Yeah.
Would you rather predict snowstorms or heat waves?
Heat waves.
Ooh. Preferred vacation, beach or mountains?
Beach.
Beach. And then, if not a meteorologist, what career would you have pursued?
Musical theater. Or I think, if I would go on a different career path, it might be talent coaching.
Really?
That would maybe be something after, like do a podcast or something fun.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah. A lot of options. I don't know.
Yeah. Mary, thank you for chatting with us today. But before we go, I wanted to take you on a short trip down memory lane. So we had a little conversation about this earlier, so I think you kind of like foreshadowed it, but I was able to do a little deep dive and I found a 2011 KDKA PPU reel.
Oh man.
If you wanna.
Oh boy. Here we go.
Good evening, everyone. Mary Hours here with your AccuWeather forecast. We felt that nice, beautiful weather today, and we also felt a little bit of aftermath of an earthquake
Yep, I
down
remember that.
in Virginia. An odd weather day
That's
today, but this
terrible.
morning,
It's
a
so
nice
good.
cool
I
morning
love
at
it.
50.
This is my
1
favorite
degrees,
part. Wait,
10
when is it coming
below
up?
the normal. Right now, Pittsburgh International,
this
70
is something
degrees.
like
Humidity
right on
a little
through.
up from earlier at 61s, partly cloudy skies, and a winds out of the south at 5 miles an hour. Clouds are going to dominate mostly through tonight and into tomorrow, waking up at 59 lunchtime. A nice day,
hilarious.
75. And later on in the day, some more sunshine is going to poke on through the clouds and leave us at the high of 83. Even though we saw some snow yesterday, that still doesn't
I got
mean that
some
we
point
haven't
cloud
had
on
one of
there.
the hottest winters
It looks
east of the
good.
Rockies.
They made
Wind
us
and
cut our
low
hair short,
humidity
by the
is
way.
one reason why
Really?
25 states posted
Wait,
their
for
warmest
class?
January-March
had to
period
cut our hair.
on record.
We had to cut our
Welcome
hair.
back to Daybreak. I'm Mary Hours with your local forecast. After a beautiful day to end our
Yep.
weekend, we are going to start off a little bit
That was the first one to do
sketchy
the
with
I know
weather.
that's insane.
mostly
You created
cloudy
all the
skies
I created the
and a
graphics,
rainy
yep.
day with the high of
That's so
58 and the
crazy.
low of 43.
Yep.
Today,
I love your
74
outfits. I
degrees
gotta
for
be
the
honest, I
high.
love the
What a
outfits.
nice day.
probably-
Partly cloudy skies.
have those
And
anymore.
earlier this
Really?
Nope, got rid of those. That's hilarious. Oh my gosh, you guys. Yeah, I thought I hid that on YouTube, but I guess not.
You might have. It might be a little bit of an unlisted video, but I did a little bit of digging.
There you go. That's what a good journalist would do.
Thank you.
I love it. That's great.
Well, Mary, thanks again for joining us today. Where can people connect with you at?
So I have my Instagram, Mary Hours, anywhere, YouTube, X, Facebook, LinkedIn. It's there, Mary Hours, and make sure it's the verified pages because there's some fake ones out there. But yeah, verified page, and connect with me. Send me a message if you want any advice or if you have any questions on the weather, and I'll make sure I get back to you.
I know I'm in your one channel on Instagram, so I
Yes!
love watching the updates for that.
Yes, Mary breaks down your hours. I love it. Thanks.
And thank you for streaming with us. Our show is produced here at the Center for Media Innovation with thanks from our partnerships at UV Television and the Point Park News Service. I'm Robert Fornataro. We hope to see you next time on POV.